Canon just announced the latest EOS R5 and R6 camera. I'm really impressed with the specification. By the way, this is the EOS R and the 50mm 1.2. I have to say I'm really impressed with what Canon has launched, but something bothered me, and in this video I'll talk about why I will not be purchasing the R5 outright, because it's just that one last thing. I'm Richard and welcome to ZP Productions. So if you follow my channel, you should know that I review Canon cameras and I also review the Fujifilm GFX series. In fact, Fujifilm GFX series is my mainstay system. I do use this system when I want to use a 50mm 1.2 or when I want a lot more bokeh with the 85mm 1.2 or when I'm doing work, so I use the 2870. The reason why I'm using the Canon system, if you notice, is always about the lens, not about the body itself. So the R5 to me was a very exciting launch because it will finally bring the Canon cameras to the current level of modern DSLRs or mirrorless cameras, if you want to call them. And that was really important because the new AF system looks fantastic. The new video system looks fantastic. The dual cut slot system looks fantastic. The IBs, whoa, that one was fantastic. They were claiming up to 8 stops with the 2870 and the 50mm 1.2. I'm really blown away with the specifications on the R5. Now, why did I say that there is still one last thing before I purchase? And that's because of something, if you have followed my channel, you will have heard me say before. The biggest reason I'm not using the Canon EOS R system as much as my GFX system is because of dynamic range. And to put in a very simple, I would say, put in a very simple statement, the Canon output, the sensor output of the Canon cameras just could not compare with most modern sensors, which means that, you know, if you compare to the Nikon Z series or the Sony A7 series, I find that the sensor output is always lacking, and the biggest lacking in it is not the resolution, but the dynamic range. And let's not even compare with the GFX, because that will put this sensor on the EOS R almost 7 stops away from the dynamic range of the GFX 100. And this is about 1 stop away from modern sensors. Now, to me, why dynamic range is so important, it's not about raising infinitely shadows, but it's when I raise shadows, like example, if the face is underexposed, I want to not only not have so much noise, but also retain the colors. And to me, retaining colors of the skin is more important than any noise in this world. The Canon cameras, when they do raise the shadows, I would say as the color wasn't as good as I like it to be. It's just not as easy to edit, not as easy to deal with compared to the Sony cameras or the Fujifilm GFX series cameras. And that always bothered me, and that's the biggest reason why, in my previous videos, if you see which lens will I buy, which lens will I choose, I like the 50mm 1.2 hell lot because it is probably the best 50mm in the world. And I will always use the EOS R system if I'm going to use the 50mm series of lenses. But, every other lens, I will probably take the GFX because the output of the camera is just a lot better. Now, the EOS R5 announced many things. Best resolution in this world, but I'm not really sure. Did Canon forget about their 50 megapixel camera? Why did they say the R5 have the best resolution? I'm not too sure on that. But, Canon kind of talk about everything that is great about this camera, from autofocus to IBs, everything. They had numbers for everything. The only thing they didn't really say anything about is dynamic range. Now, Canon is no newbie in this photography world or video world. When they were launching their video cameras, they did talk about the dynamic range, like one of the biggest dynamic range, 14, 15, 16 stops of dynamic range. But I noticed that in the R5, they did not say a single thing on dynamic range. Is the R5 good enough compared to the rest of the world, or is it just average? Now, I do not need it to be better than the A7R4. I just need it to be similar, if not slightly lousier. Now, to put in perspective, if I was to look at this chart here, the EOS R is very far away from the latest A7R4, A7 III, or even the Z6 and Z7. If you really look at this dynamic range, the EOS R is far away. Now, the latest 1D series, however, is really good. If you look at this, it's above the A9, below the A7, somewhat, still 0.5 to 0.6 stops. it does mean that the dynamic range of Canon cameras are chasing up. However, this R5 did not say that it has the best dynamic range, and that concerns me because the 1DX Mark III sensor is definitely better, and that's what I believe in the R6. So it's definitely chasing up. But the R5, they didn't brag about it, and Canon is known to brag about it if they do it well. So that concerns me. And the next thing that concerns me a lot is the pricing. It is very, very expensive in Singapore. When I say expensive, I'm meaning relative terms, of course. Because, of course, if you compare the GFX 100, that is $15,000. That is truly expensive. But the R5 in Singapore is slated to be more than 6,000 Sing dollars. And really, if you want to convert it to USD, that's like saying that the R5 costs 4.2k USD or 4.3k USD. By the way, the USD launch price is 3.9k. And if you convert the Sing dollars, even after adding taxation, it's only going to be about 5.7k. So Canon Singapore is going to charge me almost 500 Sing dollars more for a camera. I do not know whether is it better in dynamic range or not. And that really concerned me a lot. And that's the reason why I create this video, because I think that the R5 is totally fantastic. 8-stop IB is insane. With my 51.2, I can almost shoot in pitch darkness, -6 EV AF, top of the line AF system, DP-AF2, everything I want in the camera. But as it goes back again, the reason why I use a GFX system is not because it has all this top AF system, everything. In the end, as a photographer, as a stills photographer for portraiture, the most important thing is the output, the end state, the end goal. And if I can't get the output I want, I can't buy the camera. I don't want to spend $6,000 for something like an A9, which doesn't accomplish what I want. And same thing for the R5. If it's going to be $6,000+, it better have the dynamic range of an A7 R4. I only need A7 R4 dynamic range. And then I will purchase the camera itself. But without knowing that, I'm just not really comfortable because Canon has never shown great dynamic range. As I say again, look at this chart. The 1DX Mark III has improved, but everything else is far and away from modern DSLRs, modern mirrorless. That really concerned me, and that's the reason why I will still hold on before I buy the R5. And that's about it for today's video. It's just a short video for me to rant about the Canon system. Why not a better sensor with better dynamic range? I don't need the speed, no need 12 FPS. I just want 14 to 15 stops of dynamic range, at least on par with the A7 R4. Even better yet, better than the A7 R4 with 5 FPS. I'm great with it. Let's hope Canon delivers what they say. A brand new sensor with a better dynamic range. And that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed my little rant on the Canon EOS R system. I hope the R5 delivers. Until then, when I purchase the R5, or maybe when somebody does a review of the dynamic range, I will create another video then. Till then, bye bye.